Hello to all our BGL clients. My name is Nick. I'm the Client Success Team leader here at BGL, and today we'll be showing you the many features of CAS 360. In today's training session, we'll be showing to you general navigation, some of the alerts available to you and how they can best be utilized, how to customize your CAS 360 system, annual review processing, company change processing, as well as some other useful features available to you. We'll start with our main screen. When we first log into CAS 360, this is what your screen will look like, and you'll notice that there is a green toolbar, which is available to you on every screen. The search functionality allows you to search for any company, any trust, or any individual associated with any of those other entities. For example, if I type in my own name here, you'll notice I have a contact, but you can also see how I'm a joint member as some of those different transactions. We have the Community tab. This is an online forum that all CAS 360 users have access to. Namely, you'll see that we have our BGL announcements. This is where our product team will post the notes of when updates are released, showing you all the new features that we are releasing, as well as any useful updates that may change your system processing. Updates typically occur every 3 weeks, and when a new update is released back in CAS 360, all that is required is a simple refresh of your browser and the update will automatically be in your system. The Feedback tab is for any sort of recommendations that you have for our system. The more something is requested across our client databases, the higher up our priority list it will go. So we do highly recommend any sort of feedback. It is greatly appreciated. One of, if not the most useful tool on the top toolbar is our notification bell. This is where any sort of document reminders, any sort of notification that is occurring within the CAS 360 system will occur. We can see here that we have a lodgement made by one of our users, Andy, here for a Form 484. We can see when it was lodged, as well as all the important details that we can view. We can see any sort of validation errors with that, or if we need to prepare additional forms. We can also see that we've got reminders regarding digital signatures. If digital signing is an integration that you choose to have enabled, you'll notice that these notifications will come through and it will keep track for you where the documents are, who they've been signed by, as well as once the entire digital signing pack has been completed, the ability to lodge directly from this notification bell. This notification bell is a per user feature. You will notice that there's a mark all as read option. There's the unread option. This is per user. So everybody will be notified of anything occurring in the system, and it's on the user to mark those systems as read. Under the Settings tab, you have the ability to receive email reminders from CAS 360. What this will do is send an email to the email you use to log in to our system. And in this email, it will contain a general overview of what has occurred in CAS 360. You can customize this. For example, I'm not interested in seeing the annual reviews due in 30 days. And so what that email would look like, it would say to me that you have 2 annual reviews due in 14 days, and you have 5 annual reviews that were received into the system. We can see there's many toggles that you can select to customize this, but down the bottom, you'll notice that you can choose to make that a daily, weekly, or fortnightly breakdown, the days of the week that you would like to receive that reminder, as well as the time of the day. This can be really useful for if you're not working 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, as well as if your working hours are not the standard 9 to 5 as well. This is another per user feature. So you can each have your own set of information being reminded to you without affecting each other's work. Some of the useful resources available to you include our Help Center, which is just located via this question mark icon. If I hover over Help and then select Australian Help, I'll be brought to our CAS 360 knowledge base. The knowledge base is a great resource that you can use to search for any sort of system processes. There is a help article detailing any process within the CAS 360 system. For example, if I type in appoint, you will notice that I have the ability to see how to appoint an officer, how to appoint an alternate director, the Form 362 in appointing a registered agent. And when I click into these help articles, I'll be given detailed instructions as to how I can do so with navigation, instructions, as well as the forms that are prepared with that type of change. This isn't just for appointing directors. This could be for share transfers. These could be your settings of CAS 360. There are many help articles available to you at all times. If, however, you find yourself getting stuck and you would like some further assistance, you also have access to our support team. They are accessed via the live chat functionality. By selecting this, you'll notice that we have Cassie, our help robot. She'll try to point you in the right direction the best she can to try and point you towards some useful help articles, but you'll notice that the Get in Touch button does appear. This is the way that you can contact our support team. Our support team operates 9 to 5 Australian Eastern Standard Time, and if you reach out between those hours, you'll receive a response to your request within 1 minute. It's super fast. I highly recommend it. That is what the team is there to do. They're there to support you. You can also reach out outside of those 9 to 5 hours. We do have some staff members staying a bit later to accommodate for our WA as well as international clients. In saying that, I cannot guarantee the 1 minute response time, as well as if it is later in the day, you'll be added to the log and our support team will reach out to you at the earliest possible convenience the following day. If you would prefer to arrange a phone call rather than talk over the chat functionality, you also have the ability to do so with our support call option. Here on our company selection screen, you have a number of options to customize the main screen. On my license here, we can see I have my company name, my company number, my annual review date, and many other columns. I can adjust this by selecting the filter columns icon. By doing so, I can now see the columns that I have selected. However, I'm not interested in seeing the jurisdictions. I know these are all Australian clients. They're the only ones that I want to see. However, I am in the process of deregistering some companies and I want to see the status of those. So I can turn on the company status column and I can drag this up to be in another part of the screen. For example, I want it to be right between the alerts and the label. So I've dragged that up, toggle it on, and I can then select save. Sure enough, the company status column will now be visible and we can see our trading, no longer client, trustee companies in this license. This is another per user feature, so you can each have your own set of information being displayed without interrupting each other's work. One of the really useful features in terms of managing and sorting your companies is the labels feature in the bottom left-hand corner. By selecting the pencil icon here, I can create a label. They are free text and I can type whatever I need to help me sort. So for example, we are running a training right now. So I will create the training label and click enter to activate it. I can now attach this to any company via the pencil icon once again. If I start to type in training, there it is that I just created, and it is now linked to that company. By then selecting the training option here, I'm now filtering by this company. This will only display this company or any other label at the same time. So we can see there's some other labels also attached. There's Nick, physical signing, and sure enough, more companies will appear. This can be really useful for being able to sort, This can be really useful for sorting your companies, and some useful ones that we found many of our clients use are potentially company groups, family groups, if partners are associated with different sets of companies, as well as maybe digital or non-digital signing clients. Reminders can also be a really useful label to use. Adding these labels one by one would be quite tedious, so our product team was kind enough to think of a new way we could do so by adding the Manage Labels button here, which allows us to add it to many companies at the same time. Here's the training label that I just created, and I can attach this to many companies at once. I can remove it from those companies. You can adjust the label name if the information regarding that label remains the same, however the name itself is no longer relevant. You can do so. And finally, if you wish to delete a label, you can simply click on it once again, press backspace or delete, and you will get a warning before doing so, as this will remove it from your companies, your trusts, and document templates, where they can also be utilized. You'll also see with some of our labels there is a little star icon associated with it. This makes this label a favorite. Anytime that I leave this screen, the labels will automatically disengage. However, if I choose to attach the star icon to this label, it means if I go to the settings screen, for example, and I move back to my company screen, that label will be attached. And the same principle will apply if you log out of your system. When you log back in, the label will automatically be activated. There are a number of alerts within CAS 360 that help you keep track of all your documents and debts. We'll start with our annual review alert, which is this little calendar icon on the first screen here. Similar to the labels, we have a filter on the left-hand side that allows you to engage a certain alert. For example, we have 19 annual review alerts in our license here. I can click on this, and sure enough, our 19 companies will now display on my main screen. We'll be going through what each of the alerts mean. However, if at any stage you just need a reminder as to how they all operate, you can hover over the little question mark icon here, and it will explain what each alert does, as well as what the respective color will do. For our annual review alert, the annual review received, being green, will indicate to you that the annual review has been received from ASIC and is currently sitting within your CAS 360 license. By hovering over the alert, you can see when that annual review was received, and you can click on to go to the annual reviews page to be taken to our annual reviews menu. If I head back to my company selection screen now, we'll also see that we have the upcoming, which indicates to you that the annual review is expected to be received within the next 7 days, helping you keep track of your annual review timeline. Finally, the date passed icon. This indicates to you that CAS 360 was expecting to receive that annual review based on the annual review date, but did not. If this alert appears, CAS 360 has some automatic processes in the background that will assist in keeping track of this for you. Namely, 3 days after, an RA72 will automatically be lodged from the system to try and reprocess that annual review, to try and bring it in to your system. You will be notified of this in the notification bell, and that RA72 will automatically be lodged each week after that first 3 days and up to 2 months. You'll also find that if there is a reason as to why that annual review isn't coming in, it will also appear in that notification saying that the RA72 failed and explaining why. The most common example that we find is if a client has moved on to another agent and they haven't informed you. That notification will come into the bell and it would say to you that the RA72 failed because you are no longer authorized via Form 362 to be able to receive this annual review. In that scenario, you can remove your company from CAS 360. To do so, you can go to your options on the right-hand side and simply select Deactivate Company. As you can see, it gives you a warning before doing so, but I can do that with the CAS 360 system. Your deactivated companies will be located also in the sidebar, which I can then click on. I can see who deactivated it, when the company was deactivated, as well as the ability to restore it at any stage. This restore functionality will always be available to you for any companies that you deactivate if your clients decide they come back, or if you require them for any sort of auditing purposes. Please be aware that when deactivating a company, it is not removing this client from your agent. It is not deregistering this company. It is simply removing it from your company screen. It's also important to note that when you do deactivate a company, this company will still count towards your active company subscription until 1 year since you purchased CAS 360, or if you've had CAS 360 for quite some time, this date has surpassed that yearly sort of subscription. You can always check those details in this subscription details button here, explaining to you when deactivated companies will clear from your license so that you can start to use your system the most efficiently way possible. Let's move on to our document tracking. There are two different filters that you can use that keeps track of the documents you have processed within CAS 360, namely our document deadline alert and annual review deadline alert. These two filters are indicated by the same column here, being this little paper icon in the second column. What this is doing, it's keeping track of any sort of document you have processed within CAS 360, and you'll notice that on the left-hand side, there is a color codex indicating to you how far away those documents are from being signed and or lodged with ASIC. By hovering over the alert, we can see here we have an annual review that is late for payment, as well as 3 documents that are also late for lodgement. For that annual review, we have the option to complete that. But finally, and probably most importantly, your send reminder functionality. By selecting send reminder, you can choose to send this via email or SMS. The SMS service is free of charge. There is a mobile number that CAS 360 uses. You can choose to attach the forms associated with that particular reminder. You can choose your template that you want to attach as well. We do have the classic and the modern. Classic is when we first started CAS 360. I do recommend using the modern template, as well as then selecting our recipients for that particular reminder. So here we see Zane's already in here, but let's also say that myself requires this reminder. When I click on send, I will now get a preview of this particular email template. We can see the document deadline reminder. We can see it's requesting for the Form 480 to be completed. And with this preview, I can adjust any sort of wording. As I probably shouldn't be emailing myself here, I could change the recipient to say my manager instead. Sure enough, that reminder can then be sent out to the clients via the send button. And sure enough, when I do so, I will now receive with that particular reminder a little notification, as well as saying at the last deadline reminder being sent on today's date. By doing so, what this will do, it keeps track of all your clients, which ones have received their reminders, and notify everybody in the system that this reminder had been sent out. The next alert that we have is our company debt alert. What this alert does, it's basically keeping track for you which of your companies have a debt with ASIC. The way that it does this is CAS 360 lodges an RA67 each morning, usually between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. And once that lodgement has been received and accepted by ASIC, you will receive a notification in the bell saying that your company debt alert is up to date. You'll notice that we have another color codex indicating to you what the alert means. The green, being the account credit, indicates to you that this company has a credit with ASIC so that if any invoices come through, they can pay directly from this overarching credit. Future debt indicates that this company has a debt due within 31 to 60 days. Outstanding debt indicates that this company has a payment due within 1 month. And finally, the late debt option indicates that this company has missed its due dates for those invoices to be paid, and as a result is now incurring late fees. If I were to hover over one of these alerts, we can see the breakdown of that particular debt. We can see how much the ASIC invoice initially was, how much is currently due, how overdue the debt may be. If you wish to pay on behalf of any of your clients, you can do so. You'll notice that the Pay Now button is inbuilt to the system. I can click on this and I'll be taken straight to the Post Bill Pay website to pay off that debt to that client. If you do not pay debts on behalf of your clients, you once again have the send reminder functionality. You'll notice that we have our email option and our SMS option once again. We have the same email template choices, our same recipients that we can choose. But our difference is whether we want to send out the official ASIC invoice or the CAS 360 invoice instead. The reason why we have both is because ASIC will not send a new invoice out if a payment is only partially paid. So we can see that a $660 invoice was sent out quite a few years ago, but $40 is still remaining on this particular debt. As a result, ASIC has not reissued a new invoice and instead the $40 that is remaining. So I could choose to send my CAS 360 invoice instead, which I can preview and have a look at. Similar to before, we get a preview by clicking on Send, and you'll notice that the debt is brought through as to how much is being owed for that particular company. But more importantly, there's an inbuilt Pay Now button. This will take your client straight to the post bill pay website once again. So hopefully there are no more excuses as to why they can't pay their debts on time. The final alert that we have in CAS 360 is our Director ID alert. This alert is indicating to you whether the Director ID has been entered into the CAS 360 system. By hovering over and going to our Director ID page, we can add our Director IDs to these particular individuals. We can send reminders to them for those particular Director IDs as well. Please note that CAS 360 has complete and full functionality without having the Director IDs in the system. ASIC is still deciding what to do with Director IDs. At the time of this recording, it's March 2024, so we're trying to see what they will do. We currently have no requirements from our end to make this a mandatory system. However, we do not know if that will change. As such, we highly recommend that you add these Director IDs to the system. Adding these one by one can be a big ask, so our client success team has a way that you can bulk add email addresses, mobile numbers, and Director IDs. If you reach out to success@bglcorp.com.au, we can create this spreadsheet for you, provide it to you, and by filling it in and sending it back to us, we will upload it into your CAS 360 license. Let's move on to our annual review processing. As shown before, you can simply go to the annual review page via the alert, or you'll notice the review option is on the left-hand side. On our main screen here, we can see all the companies that have an annual review due with CAS 360. You may have noticed the labels that were an option and our ability to hide our toolbar. We can see our Director ID alert is here as well. But our new and probably most important feature of this is our comparison report. This is a check for you to see whether the data within CAS 360 is matching the ASIC database when the annual review was received into CAS 360. By clicking on the little blue icon here, I'll be brought into the comparison report and I can see the details that are potentially mismatching. We can see we have an officer difference in this database where we have our ASIC and CAS 360 databases listed respectively. For this one, Neil has an incorrect birth date listed, and I can see it's just been entered wrong into CAS 360. So I can simply click on this and I can correct it. And sure enough, I can now make sure that these are now matching. We've also found, though, that CAS 360 has him listed as an alternate director, whereas ASIC has him listed as an official director of this company. And you'll also see that there's no blue dotted line. This is because this type of change would require a form to be generated. So, as such, we recommend going into this company within CAS 360, adjusting it to the correct directorship, and preparing the relevant documentation for that. Otherwise, clearing the record and making it so that it was a director all along. This is also a check for you if maybe ASIC is incorrect and it requires CAS 360 to generate the relevant forms to update ASIC so that he is listed as an alternate as this annual review is being processed. It is important to note that CAS 360's comparison report does not need to pass for you to send out an annual review to the client. The main reason we mention this is sometimes there are formatting issues between the addresses between CAS 360 and ASIC. If, for example, there was a unit 2 versus a 2/ in the CAS 360 database, you know and your clients know that that is obviously the same address. However, that would show up as a failure between the comparison report. But as I'll show in just a moment, this failed comparison report here, I can still prepare the documents and I can still send this out to my client. When I do select prepare documents, I can see that I'm brought to a document production screen. This is where we're preparing our forms that we'll be sending to our clients. We have a cover letter available to you to the system. By toggling this option on, going to my options, I can see that we have a custom cover letter that we created, but you'll notice any sort of template that you've created can also be adjusted. Maybe I'll select our master template for the time being, just so you see what the default one looks like within CAS 360. I can preview this, and I can see the cover letter that is being generated for the Cody company. And we can see all the relevant details for that particular cover letter. We can also see our different annual company statements that we wish to use. We do have the official ASIC annual statement as an option. If I preview this, we can see that we have our annual company statement with our corporate key attached. It has the watermark of ASIC, as well as if I scroll down, the ASIC invoice automatically attached for that annual review fee. Although this is an option, CAS 360 has its own generated annual company statement as well. The benefit of using this one versus the official ASIC document is that, one, it does not have the corporate key, and two, I scroll down to the bottom, that there is a signing field so that your clients can physically or digitally sign this particular template to confirm the annual review details. And finally, this template is just adjustable in CAS 360. You can add your company logos, you can make it look really nice, and make it so you're showing your clients the work that you put in for them. Please be aware that if you are choosing the official annual company statement, that you will want to attach the ASIC invoice if that is something that your clients will be paying. Otherwise, you can simply toggle this off. We also have our solvency resolution. So there's a couple of resolution options. It does default to the resolution where all directors will be signing off on this particular company. And by previewing this, we can see our default template with all our directors signing off for this company. If I go into my options though, you'll notice that I have my document type and I can change this to a minutes resolution. So this would be when I'm only wanting one director to sign off on this particular document. And with our chairperson here, we can select who that may be. So I might change it to Nicholas here. And by doing so, I can then click on the template preview once again, and we'll notice that form is automatically updated. It's changed the details regarding the directorship and who was appointed as the chairperson. And finally, the signing line has also been generated. There's a few other settings that you can use in your document production screen. Namely, you have the ability to flag documents for review. This could be useful for any newer staff, or if you just want to check before emails are being sent out. You can send any sort of document pack to another user of CAS 360. Let's say we're sending it to Andy in this scenario. We send this off to Andy, and he can approve or reject this pack from being sent out to the client. In doing so, he can then approve that, and it'll just simply send through. Otherwise, if it's rejected, he can then add notes to that as to why. Maybe, for example, I adjusted this to a minutes resolution, but it actually required to stay as a solvency resolution. So he could add that as a note so I can re-prepare that document and make sure that I'm sending out the official and correct pack. You also have your email options for the templates that are being used with that particular annual review. And finally, our electronic signing options. If you do have digital signing enabled, it will default automatically to on. You may have some clients though that aren't going to be using digital signing anyway. So in that option, you can go to our digital signing provider and simply select none, click on save, and you'll notice that the little green ink pen icon has now grayed out. This indicates to you that this digital signature will no longer be occurring. And we can now see the different people are part of this company that we can send this to. Otherwise, with the electronic signing options turned on, this is how the security of digital signing will operate. And so you'll notice that you won't have the choice to select which emails are being sent to. This is how the digital signatures are created, and this is how they will be left secure by being locally accessed by that one unique email address. We can also upload our own documents to this pack. Maybe, for example, you'd upload your service invoice, so it's all going in the one pack. You have the ability to download this to your device. This may be if you're sending it out through your own emailing system or potentially mailing this out to a client. And then finally, you have your send all functionality. When I click on send all, we'll see who it's being sent to. We can see our preview email once again. We can see that we have this particular debt due, our Pay Now button, but finally down the bottom, our Review Documents button. This is the link that your clients can click on to digitally sign that particular document pack. I can then click on Send, and sure enough, this will now be sent off to our clients. Once completed, you'll notice that CAS 360 will no longer be displaying that particular annual review in our review screen. That is because it has moved to our document screen. When we go into here, this is where every single document that you have ever prepared within CAS 360 will be stored. That can get a little busy, so we have introduced a filtering section that you can use. So for example, let's say I want to filter by my annual company statements, so we can see the one I just generated. And sure enough, here is the Cody Company document pack that I just created a moment ago, and we can see that the Fuse signed signature has been sent to the client. The great part about digital signing is that when a digital signing pack is completed, this status column will automatically update to say Fuse signed by the client. And under our options and attachments, we'll be able to see our ability to see all the documents that have been prepared, as well as those digital signatures provided on those forms, as well as an audit report as to when those signatures were provided, when the document pack was opened, etc., etc. The great part about our document management system as well is you can upload these files, you can preview them, download them, delete them. You can also download them to your own device as well as a separate pack or all together combined in one form. You'll notice as well that in this screen that I have no ability to lodge. That is because I'm filtering by my annual company statements. No filing is required for these particular forms. However, if it were a form like a Form 484, like a Form 362, like a Form 492, this is where the Lodge button will then appear, and I can start to send these forms off to ASIC to notify them of these changes. You'll be given a preview prior to sending out a lodgement. The reason being, if there is a late fee or any sort of confirmation, this will appear for you. We do recommend having this on. There is the option to turn it off, but we do recommend having it on. Once we lodge, this will officially send off to ASIC, and you'll receive a notification of the bell once that lodgement has been accepted or rejected accordingly. If any of your annual reviews require them to be reprocessed, you can simply go back to your annual review in your document screen, select the options here, and reprocess that annual review, and that will bring it back to your annual review screen. Similarly, in reverse, you can also mark a document as processed if it has already been completed outside of CAS 360 or previous to your onboarding to CAS 360. Finally, as well, you can do multiple at the same time. We do recommend doing a couple individual ones first, just so you're familiar with it. However, you can start to prepare documents on a bulk basis. As we can see, it will select our document pack that we wish to be sending out, whether we're choosing to deliver these by email. And finally, if there's any sort of issues, such as here we're missing some agents for these particular companies, let's proceed with those. And sure enough, we can see who the emails will be sent out to for each of those relevant companies. As such, you can remove certain ones that have a few issues so that you can proceed with sending out these annual reviews on a bulk basis. Similar as well, you can do a bulk mark documents as processed as well. If you were to change the details to a company, you would need to go into the company itself. So you navigate back to our company screen and can select your company accordingly. All the details will be stored in these relevant tabs. And the great part about CAS 360 is any time you make a change to company details that would usually require ASIC to be notified of, CAS 360 will automatically generate that form for you. For example, if I go to the addresses tab here, I can start to add a new address to this company. Here I am. going to my new address, let's say the business address has been updated, and we're going to start to enter our new address into the system, we can see that in our system here that we've used all the addresses before. And as a result, we can select between these. However, if there is a new address that you have never used before, you can always add it as you're going. Let's just say for the time being though, we're moving up to Canberra. As well as, we would like to apply this change to the meeting address as well. The date, being today, is fine as is. We'll save that particular change, and sure enough, we'll find that the business address and meeting address have been updated to our new one here. But more importantly, there's a print toggle icon that's turned green. This is linked to our prepare forms in the bottom right-hand corner, as we can see here. And what this is doing is it's generating the relevant form. ASIC is not interested in knowing about the meeting address, and as a result, there is no print toggle icon for a form. The business address, however, is very important. So I can go to my prepare forms and we can see that exact same document production screen that we saw beforehand with our annual reviews, except this time it is now preparing our Form 484. Once again, I can preview this document and see the relevant details regarding the company and see the change of address that has been generated. Our director's minutes or resolution has also been generated with this pack, and we can see all the relevant documentation and signatures required automatically generated for you. The great part about CAS 360 is that you can make multiple changes within the same company at the same time. For example, if I go into my officers tab, I can, for example, add an officer to this company. Let's just say I'm going to add Cody here. She has become a director of this company as of today. I can save that new contact that I've created, and sure enough, there she is, appointed today, and the prepare forms button has now increased to 2. We'll now see that our Form 484 has now updated to include both the change of address as well as the appointment of the company office holder. If we go back to our document pack, our director's minutes or resolution has also been updated to include both the change of address and appointment of director. And finally, the document pack itself has also been updated. If I scroll down, we'll see that things like the consent to act, as well as a member's minutes or resolution, has also been an option to be generated within your document pack. And this will apply to any sort of change that you make to a company. Finally, we have our shareholder screen. This is a really common screen that you'll be working in throughout your use of CAS 360. And when we select the Add Transaction button, you'll notice all the different types available to you: allotments, share transfers, subdivisions, buybacks. All those different documentation will be generated depending on the transaction you create. Let's add an allotment, for example. If I go to my allottee option, I can start to search for an individual that it's going to be for. Here we have Cody from beforehand, but as we can see, we can always add new people as we're going. So sure enough, Cody as the new director is also getting some shares. However, they are going to be beneficially owned by somebody else, and you'll notice that there's a toggle for that. So let's say, yes, they are being beneficially held, and sure, I'm the lucky beneficial owner in this scenario. We've got our share types. This is the final add new option available to you. If I type in here ord, we can see all the different types of ordinary shares that we already have pre-built into the system. But if it's a complicated transaction, as has some interesting values associated with that share type, you can once again add your own custom share type to the system. I might just stay with the $1 fully paid for the time being. Let's say 100 shares are being allotted. There were no subject premiums to this particular share transaction, and the certificate details will simply automatically increase by 1 each time you prepare that transaction. I'm going to click Save for the time being, and sure enough, there is that allotment that I just created. By hovering over the relevant icons, we can see the details of the allottee in this scenario, the B icon indicating who is the beneficial owner and their information, and finally the I icon here detailing the type of transaction that's occurred. And once again, our Form 484 has been updated to include that change, Same with our director's minutes or resolution. And our document pack has also been updated, so now it includes things like the share certificate, the application for shares, and the notice of beneficial ownership. If there's ever any issues with the transactions you've created with the system, you can always go to your options and edit them accordingly across any of those tabs I've just demonstrated. For example, maybe it's only 50 shares that are being allotted in this scenario. I can simply edit that, and that will adjust all the forms that I just created so that it's now attributing for that new change. If you want to completely remove it as well, you can always delete that transaction as well. One of the final bits of information that's really useful is that document screen that we showed before is each company has its own unique documents tab, and we can see all the documents relating to just this one company. It has the exact same functionality as shown before. It's just a useful way to have this filter applied. This is also where you can prepare your Form 492s up in the options here for any sort of corrections required for any changes you've created. Although changes within one company are really useful, we do know that some changes apply to multiple companies at the same time. You can do these as well within CAS 360. You'll notice that there is a multiple tab available to you, and under the new change option, you'll see the different types of multiple changes you can create. So for the company side of things, you can make a bulk registered address or bulk business address change. You can create a bulk contact change. So if a director of many companies is moving, or maybe their name is being changed. And finally, the company itself. So if there was an officer change being resigned or appointed to multiple companies at the same time, or if a holding company changed as well. Let's do that director address change. If I go and select a contact, I might just select myself here. I can now adjust this to a new address. By doing so, what will happen is this address is currently being picked up by 3 other companies and 4 other contacts within the system. This will allow you to generate those changes for those other companies if you would like to. Let's just say these companies, they're actually not moving, they're staying as is, but these 4 individuals, they are. We're a family, we're going to be moving all together, so I can toggle on yes, and sure enough, this will generate the relevant documentation for each of those particular individuals. Sure enough, we can see Ivy here, so someone that I didn't create that form for, has now been included in that document pack, and we can see the relationship that they have, shareholders, secretary, directors, whatever it may be, they will all be listed in our pack here, as well as the number of companies that those details are changing for. One of the final really useful bits is this company was the company we used before to start to update that information. And those 3 changes have still saved and are still within CAS 360. So by toggling this option on, I can go to my prepare forms, and now all 5 changes will be included in the same document pack. And we can see that by preparing that director's minutes resolution, where we can see the change of address for the individuals, as well as the director appointment, the allotment of shares, and the business address change as well. For your multiple company changes, you can always edit and delete individuals from the transaction. So let's just say Ivy was not being included in this particular one. We could simply remove that. However, if you've made a mistake with the multiple change you've created, you can simply go up the top here to your options and delete all multi-change records to revert it back to what it once was. We've been discussing today many of the templating options available to you in CAS 360. Let's go over where these can be adjusted. You'll notice by going to the Settings tab that you have the document and email templates. Document templates are all of the forms that can be generated within CAS 360, and I can search for them as well. Let's have a look at our cover letter that we were previewing earlier. Sure enough, we have a master annual review cover letter. The master template is available for every single document. It cannot be deleted from the system. It will always be there as something to refer back to. But what I can do is I can go to my options and I can download this to my device, which we can see here. And if I open this file now, we can see the template that we were previewing earlier. You'll notice because it's a Word document, we can adjust this however we like. We could make all the text bold, we could move it all to the middle, we could add our company logos, we can add a header or footer, but probably the most unique part about these templates is the merge field codes. These are the codes with the little $sign, the squiggly bracket, and the word formatting in the middle here. What a merge field code does, it will read from the CAS 360 system that this document date exists somewhere and can actually be entered into this document template when it's being generated. We noticed this before when we previewed this template in terms of the officer name were being pulled through, today's date was being pulled through, the registered address, the company it's for. So depending on the company you're preparing it, you can create one template and these merge field codes will generate the relevant information for that particular company and scenario it's being used for. Once you have adjusted your templates accordingly, what you can do is go back to CAS 360 and upload it into the system. Just be aware that whatever the document is named as on your device is what it will be uploaded as in CAS 360. Once you have uploaded it, under your options, you can set it as the default. So each time a document's being prepared, it will select that particular one. Or if you're no longer using a template, you can simply delete it from the system. Email templates do operate slightly differently in the sense of rather than being stored in Word, they are stored within CAS 360 itself. For example, let's have a look at our annual review one again, as what was the one we were previewing beforehand, and it was the digital signing that we were having a look at. We now have two master templates. We have our classic and our modern. Our classic is when we first started. I don't recommend using it. It's a little green, a little outdated. The modern one is much cleaner. And as we've seen throughout today's demonstration, many previews and the ability to adjust this accordingly. When you are creating a new template, simply select Create New, select Modern as your option, and down the bottom, we've now created our new template here, and it automatically has the default template already included. With this particular template, because it's stored within CAS 360, it doesn't have the exact same functionality as Word, but you can see it has very similar. Our bold text, our underlining, our alignments, our inserting our images to add our company logos to this particular template. With the template as well, you can change the color of the Pay Now and the Review Documents button to match your company logos. We do have a dedicated help article for this called How Do I Change the Color of these respective buttons? So I highly recommend searching for that if that's something you wish to do. You can also see the merge field codes once again being present for these templates. It's great to know that these merge field codes are here, but where can I find them? What can they do? They are located in your help section. So if I go to help and Australian help, you'll notice that CAS 360 dictionary is one of the options available to you. And we can see our email template codes and our document template codes. You can also search for this as well. So we are currently looking at our digital signing for the annual review. I can search for that, and sure enough, digital signing, annual review, CAS 360 dictionary codes. We can see a description of what the code will do, the code itself that I would like to copy and paste into my template, and then where from CAS 360 this code is reading from so that the information that is being previewed, that is being sent out to your client, you know where it's coming from. Another really useful hint for your email templates is the merge field codes can also be used in your subject line. So if you have a client that has multiple companies and they're not quite sure which is referring to which, you could add, for example, the company name merge field code to your subject line. And sure enough, that will now be included in the template and be included in the subject line when your clients receive said emails. Just be sure once you do adjust your templates to update, this is your save button, and you can see down the bottom, the maker's default option is available to you once again. The final thing to make note of for any clients that are using digital signing, there are two sets of templates, one for digital signing and one for non-digital signing. They do differ because one of them has the button and one of them does not, as well as the wording between the two differs. So if you choose to turn off the digital signing integration, it will start to use this template instead. Just be aware you may need to update both templates if that is something you wish to do. In terms of how emails are sent out from CAS 360, there's a few options available to you. Firstly, you have this sender name. So if I were to send an email out from this license right now, it would say that it came from BGL Client Success, and the email attached to that would be no-reply at cas360.com.au. You can change the sender name to whatever you like. For example, I might make it my own name in this scenario, but you can also make it so that it is selected to the user. So whoever the person is logged in, that's who it says it will come from. In terms of the no-reply email attached as well, you can also change this. This is the custom email service that's available to you for $550 AUD. The reason why there is a cost is it is an outsourced project. It is Amazon that allows us to do so. And unfortunately, that is what they charge us to create that custom email address. If you are interested, you're more than welcome to contact your BGL account manager, and they're more than happy to explain what it will do. Otherwise, if you are happy to do so, you can start to simply enter the email, submit it, and an invoice will be created for you in your My BGL page, which you can see up in the App Switcher icon is one of your options there. Please be aware this invoice is made under the other products section of My BGL, so that's where you can pay for that invoice. By doing so, you can have that custom email added as the option available to you. Just be aware it does need to be an email that you have access to, as you will receive a link from Amazon later on confirming that that's the address you wish to use. One of the other really important fields is the reply to address as well. So once again, this will default to the no-reply email. We do want you to change this. You can make it an email that one person will be looking after. You could use the toggle once again so that it's going back to whoever sent out the email. But you could also make it an admin level sort of email where many of your users have it all sent to the one place they all have access to. So you have that sort of record available to you at all times. Just be sure to save your settings once you've adjusted them down the bottom right-hand corner. The final option I want to discuss today is under the More tab here with our automated reminders. There are two sets of automated reminders within CAS 360, one for our debts and one for our documents. The debt reminder is an option available to you for any of your clients that have a debt and once you have processed the forms within CAS 360. You can see that you can have it sent on a frequency basis. Unfortunately, ASIC does not send us enough information to be able to depict exact dates for when things are due for any sort of company. As a result, all they're sending to us is just if a company has a debt or not, and thus we have to do it via a frequency basis. As you can see, you've got the 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 1 week, or even less than. You can have it sent after that automated RA68 that occurs. You can select who the sender is, the template that's being used, which invoice you would like to attach, as well as who you would like to send it to. You can default to have it sent just to the company directors, but you can also create billing contacts within the system. They are located within the company screen under the General Details tab. And by doing so, you can have it be sent to individuals that are outside of the typical process for billing. Maybe if there were a payments team, you could add a billing contact so they're the recipient of that. That also applies to signing contacts as well, which we'll cover in the document reminders. If somebody else needs to be the recipient of a form that needs to be signed, under that company contact section, you also have the ability to add signing contacts. We also have a spreadsheet to help you with the bulk uploading of this. Please contact once again success@bglcorp.com.au if you would like that spreadsheet that we can generate for you, send to you, and upload into your CAS 360 license once completed. The final aspect to your reminders that applies to both sections is the select labels. So this will determine which companies you wish to set up the automated reminders for. You can have it go to all labels and automatically set to no new labels, as well as the no label option. This will send to everybody in the system. If some of your clients do not wish to see some of those reminders, you could create a label called automated reminders and have it only set to a certain set of companies based on the labels you created earlier. Finally, we have our document reminders, which has quite a few different functionalities depending on the form being generated. Our document deadline is for forms like our Form 484s, our annual review deadlines for our annual reviews, and our other reminders tab is for forms that don't have a due date associated with them. Maybe, for example, your trust resolutions could be generated here. Once you select the relevant tab you wish to do it for, say we've got our document deadline here, we can have 6 reminders sent. And by selecting our reminder, you can choose to have it up to 30 days or less. You can set the time of the day. You can send it via email or SMS. Once again, choosing our templates for that. You can see here that we can automatically attach documents, select our signing contacts, our company directors, or both, and our sender name once again. You'll notice that under the other reminders tab, that when you are creating a reminder that doesn't have a due date, it is done via days after preparation rather than the days before that due date is required. Once again, be sure to save any sort of settings you create. The final thing of note is that when we saw the last reminder being sent out date associated with that document reminder, that appeared under our document alert right at the start of our training today. This will also automatically update with those automated reminders. So that will help keep track for you which of your clients have received those automated reminders. That concludes everything in today's training session. Thank you so much for making the time. If you do have any questions, you have many resources that you have available to you. We highly recommend our support team. That is what they are there for that ongoing support. You're also more than welcome for any onboarding queries to come to the client success team. Once again, success@bglcorp.com.au. And finally, you have your dedicated account manager. They are your go-to person for if you don't know who to go to, as well as for any subscription or billing queries. Thank you so much for making the time. We look forward to speaking with you soon.